Okay, so in this lecture here, we're going to look at the Fatou property and also what it means to say a self-map is a quasi contraction. So to understand the Fatou property, basically um, consider the sequence of all gene distances between x sub n, y sub n, and z, where z can be basically any number in the set x. And lambda is basically a positive real number. And then here we assume that the sequences x sub n and y sub n converge to x and y respectively, which means basically in the large n limit and the large m limit, the gene distance between the n term of x of the sequence, the m term of the sequence, and x is going to be 0. And in the large n limit and m limit, the gene distance between the n term of the sequence, the m term of the sequence, and y is going to be equal to 0. Now, although the sequence x sub n converges to x, and then the sequence y sub n converges to y, the sequences of gene distances between x sub n, y sub n, and z is different, because z could be basically any value in the set x. So basically, the Fatou property basically says that an upper bound for the gene distance between x, y, and z sub lambda is basically given by the smallest of these values in that particular set, where you consider the large n limit and m limit of the gene distances between x sub n, y sub n, and z for any value z in the set x. Okay, so now we're going to define what it means to say a self-map in the metric modular space is a quasi contraction. So suppose that the pair x gene sub lambda is a metric modular space, and C is basically a subset of X, which is basically non-empty. So the map T from X to itself is called a quasi contraction if it satisfies the following inequality. The gene distance between T of X, T of Y, and T of Z is less than or equal to K times the maximum of that set. So the reason why we call this inequality a quasi contraction is basically if the maximum of the set is not basically the gene distance between x, y, and z sub lambda, then you do not get the definition of a contraction, because if you consider that inequality based there, that inequality is going to be a contraction only if the maximum of the set is given by the first term in the set, which is the gene distance between x, y, and z sub lambda. So if the maximum is any other element of that set, then the inequality is a quasi contraction, because it's almost a contraction, but not exactly a contraction. That's what the word quasi or quasi means. Okay,